But I want to take everybody back here for a quick second because it's so easy to just kind of forget what this team looked like October 1st, what the expectations were October 1st, and then where we're sitting at today. It was one of the wilder regular seasons that I've ever watched. Very, very entertaining. Wildly entertaining. New twists, I felt like, on a daily basis for the Lakers. If you kind of take the full 82 games, they got 6 preseason games, so 88 games that the Lakers had. You had a new coach who had no experience at all, and you really had no idea what to expect from him. Here's some of the highlights I'm going to walk you guys through here real quick. Season starts. Lakers start out the season 3-0, and you're like, oh, okay, hey, you know what? Maybe Lakers, maybe they're going to be pretty damn good. And then I think by the time they were 8 games in, they were 4-4. So, those expectations obviously kind of quieted down for a second. You guys remember the stretch early in the season? This was in late November. Remember when Lakers just started getting blown out by every team? They lost by 25 at Denver. They lost by 27 against the Phoenix Suns. The Denver game was actually at Crypto. They lost a game against Minnesota by 39, 29. And then they lost a game against Miami by 41. Lakers went through this stretch in, I want to call it late November, early December, where you're like, did JJ just lose the team? And we're only 15 games into his coaching career, 20 games into his coaching career. Lakers get back on track. December 29th, D'Lo gets traded for Dorian Finney-Smith. I thought that was a wildly important moment. Anytime I'm at a Laker game, I like going to go listen to the opposing coaches talk as well. So after JJ's done, we listen to the opposing coach. I've heard of Michael Malone, Steve Kerr. Obviously Michael Malone, he was with still the coach of Denver. How many different coaches have mentioned Dorian Finney-Smith like, yeah, that was a big move. It's a big move for the Lakers. Okay, so D'Lo gets traded for Dorian Finney-Smith. You got the LA fires that happened in the first 10 days of January, something along those lines. 2 games just rescheduled. And we know the effect that had, obviously, on LA, JJ Redick, the team. A lot of guys had to leave their homes. JJ Redick lost his home, a rental home that he was in the Palisades. Okay, that happens. You almost kind of forget, oh, yeah, that was just a couple of months ago. February 1st comes along. Anthony Davis doesn't play in New York, not part of that road trip for the Lakers. He gets traded after that game for Luka Doncic. Luka's a Laker. Lakers go on a 20-4 stretch where it doesn't look like they can lose a game. Then they go to Boston and LeBron gets injured. He's out for 2 weeks. Then they go on a 3-7 stretch where then it looks like, all right, all that work that they had, that's going to, be wiped away. And then whatever the Lakers accomplished, it doesn't matter. Lakers are going to struggle. LeBron's not going to be healthy. They're going to lose so much ground in the seeding. And then the last couple of weeks happened where they kind of needed it here. At Memphis, home against Houston, New Orleans, OKC, Dallas, Houston again. Lakers end up with 50 wins, and they lock up that number 3 seed, and they actually close out the season here pretty strong. All of that in one season. Big-time trades, brand new coach, 2 games postponed. Like, go up and down the list of all the different things that happened with the Lakers this year, and for them to sit here when the dust settles. They got a game coming up on, obviously this Saturday, a home game coming up. They get to host the first round, and then we'll kind of take our chances from here. I thought it was important to just kind of look back real quick on the regular season and recap a little bit what exactly happened and see the Lakers in their position today. All right, I want to look at a couple of the comments here. I'm sure there are comments all over the place too of, that's right, Max Christie. Okay, here's some other things that I probably forgot. Max Christie wasn't getting PT until later on, and then Max Christie became a really, really nice piece for the Lakers, and then he became part of the piece that gets traded to the Dallas Mavericks. Vando coming back was huge. Lakers went, I think, all the way to about mid-January until Jared Vanderbilt finally came back and became a part of the Lakers. There's another piece of I like how some people put it with Vando. basically the way people were describing Vando was he was kind of like another trade deadline acquisition. That's almost how you can use him because he missed so much time last year. Obviously missed a big portion of this year as well. But once he came back in mid-January, that kind of changed the scope of the Lakers as well. Let's see. Maybe there's some other things I'm missing here. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Amazing season. What a ride. What a ride. We need a documentary. I don't know about a documentary for the season, but I'm pretty sure somebody's working on a documentary for the Luka trade. I'll tell you that. All right, let's see. Get another one here. We got a clean slate from this point on. If we can lock down on defense, we're getting a parade. Yeah, for those that are jumping out that far, I got a difficult time looking past anything more than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Here's another storyline I forgot. Dan Hurley choosing UConn over LA. That's right. That was another big storyline that happened during the season. I was still, by the way, when all that was going on, I was still at ESPN. So, obviously that was going on in the summer. Okay, let's see another one here. JJ's offseason was crazy as well, sure. All right, so that gives us at least just kind of a little bit of all the different things that went on for the Lakers. LeBron and Bronny's storyline. Absolutely. I remember in the beginning of the season too, there was a little bit of, what game was it? There was a game that Bronny actually got some real playing time. And I'm like, is this what this year is going to be? Or in the beginning of the season when Lakers would be getting their asses kicked and then the opposing crowd is cheering for Bronny to come in. I'm like, this is what the year is going to be. The season is going to be about the Lakers getting Bronny playing time on the road, where the opposing team not only gets to cheer, obviously, for their team winning, but then they also get to cheer. It's kind of like mocking that Bronny was going to get playing time in a blowout win. So I forgot that's another storyline that was part of it. So a lot of different things that happened this year, and I just wanted to kind of reflect on some of that stuff here real quick, and we'll keep things rolling. Okay, game one of the regular season, or game one of the playoffs, the postseason. So we got the schedule last night. The Lakers sent out, or NBA Communications, but I think it came from the Lakers, sent out the schedule for game ones in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Here is all the games that we have, and I'll share this with everybody so we can kind of all look at it together. I should have put the 2 and 2 together. That once the Lakers locked up that 3 seed, it was impossible for them to play on the Sunday because they got everybody playing on the Friday game. So most likely it was going to be Saturday games. Here's what the slate looks like for Saturday. All right, Saturday, April 19th, and then here's Sunday. 10 a.m., Bucks Pacers. 12:30, Denver and the Clippers. By the way, I think that's a really good series. I'm looking forward to watching that series. 3 o'clock, Pistons and the Knicks, and then 5:30 on ABC. All these other games are on ESPN, and then 5:30 on Saturday night, ABC, Timberwolves visit the Los Angeles Lakers. So the playoffs are going to start on Saturday night for the Lakers. So they will have got, for everybody that played on Friday, they will have got 1 full week off before the postseason starts. So obviously a lot of these guys didn't play in yesterday's game. I'm sure Saturday, Luka, LeBron, who didn't fly to Portland, I'm sure kicking back and getting their bodies ready. Lakers will, it sounds like from what JJ Redick said yesterday, I think they're going to practice on Tuesday, but kind of a light practice or something along those lines. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so they're going to start ramping it up, get ready for the series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's what we got here. Game's going to be on Saturday night at Crypto.com Arena. I'm going to try my best to hopefully be at that game. We'll see how things go. But that's when we know the playoffs are going to start. You got all the other games coming up. Lakers will be the final game on Saturday, and it should be a fun, phenomenal series. I think it's going to be a fun series, and we'll see what happens from there. Okay, I want to just kind of start setting some expectations for the series. Chris McGee, by the way, coming up at 8:30. start trying to set up some expectations for this series. So I look at this series a couple different ways. Number one way, I think, to look at it, I remember kind of want to set this up properly, because over the last couple of months, my expectations for this team has definitely changed. I really do believe this. When they traded for Luka, I just thought it was more about the future. I thought this year was going to be tough to be competitive and make some real noise because, all right, you don't have enough size. You lost Anthony Davis. You lost another defender in Max Christie. You don't really have a lob threat. You don't have a go-to player that you could throw the ball to down low. How's your defense going to hang with some of these other teams when you don't have that size? How much are you going to hurt from a rebounding perspective? I didn't have much expectations for this season when they traded for Luka. I thought in my head, like, all right, listen, they're set up for the future. And even if they don't make real noise this year, that's okay. They're set up for the future. The offseason would be wildly critical for the Lakers to obviously start making some noise, go bring in the right personnel, and then figure it out from there. Now my expectations after watching the Lakers over these last couple of months, it's like, all right, well, you got a real legitimate shot getting to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, you at the absolute worst have to get through this first round against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then it better be a long, drawn-out dogfight against the Houston Rockets. And then hopefully when the dust settles, you came out in a 12-round battle and you got probably most likely the Oklahoma City Thunder after that. Expectations when Luka first got here to what I think this team has proved. And I'm not telling you that they don't have flaws, because they do. And I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that they're not going to have some real battles in this series. And if they're fortunate enough in the next series, I'm not telling you that they won't get exposed in certain areas. But yeah, that expectation of just, well, you know, this summer is going to be where you really start making some noise. That changed a lot over these last couple of months. I think this team has proved that they can beat anybody in the Western Conference. That doesn't mean they can't lose to anybody in the West, but I think they have proved that they can be a real headache in the West, and that it should not be a shock if they're in the Western Conference Finals. Now, I'm going to preface all this by saying anything can happen in the playoffs. You know, if you all of a sudden momentum starts going the other way, or maybe the way you were gelling in that first with the way you were gelling before the playoffs doesn't kind of transfer over to the playoffs. Maybe guys struggle, personnel. Maybe JJ Redick is getting out coached. I mean, there's a lot of things that obviously can happen. But my expectations now, I feel like they have proved that they should be one of the last few teams standing in the Western Conference. I'll tell you what can happen. What can't happen, based off of what the Lakers just were able to do and grabbing that number 3 seed, they're kind of in a there's no scenario out there where they lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves and everyone would be like, oh, well, that's okay. That's all right. You know what? In the offseason, they're going to bounce back and everything will be okay. I think at the absolute minimum now, you got to get out of this first round. And I think most people would say, nah, there's much more that they should accomplish. Sure, but you got to get out of the first round first. And I spent a little time yesterday talking about the series against the Timberwolves. We're going to do it all week. I'm working on getting Alan Horton on Wednesday. He covers the Minnesota Timberwolves, so he does actually the radio play-by-play. Good dude. The guy's going to know the Minnesota Timberwolves inside and out. But you have at least created an expectation where there really is no scenario where you're not in the second round against the Houston Rockets, and then we'll kind of take our chances from there. And I'm not telling you this is going to be an easy series, but my expectations from when Luka got traded to the Lakers to where we're sitting today, yeah, those expectations got upped. And the expectations on Luka alone in his first playoff run with the Lakers is now kind of at a completely another level. And you could kind of start adding all these other elements into it, but it's going to definitely be different than it was from when it first started. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.